Can you imagine one of your family members is killed and the case is never solved? The case becomes what they call a cold case. Slavery is that cold case. How can it come to a close when black people have not been educated the whole truth on slavery? And white people haven't been educated the whole truth of slavery either. Somewhere there is a white young man or woman who has no empathy or compassion to counteract the negative thoughts that may be introduced to his or her mind by someone who is prejudiced and racist. Knowledge and awareness is the prevention. How can slavery come to an end when movies are continuously being shown that provide information we weren't presented in school? How unfair when the role of a slave in a movie is played by a black actor, but black kings, queens, prophets, and royalty are played by white actors. I challenge the white community to go watch a slave movie, and don't imagine yourself as the white person. Imagine yourself or your child as the slave being treated like an animal. In this new age of information and technology, we are presented new facts to this cold case called slavery. If we were taught the whole truth in school, this case could have been closed. Technically, the lack of education presented by our curriculum on the subject has played a part in cultivating our current state of prejudice, bigotry, and racism. Marcus Garvey once said, "A people without the knowledge of their past, history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots." I challenge all the black athletes and entertainers to visit Africa to learn your history. Come back, share your story and newfound knowledge with us. I have heard someone say, slavery is not African history. Slavery interrupted history. We need to learn not only our black history, but our African history. People from far lands used to visit Africa to learn from them. Some of those students decide to come back and exterminate those Africans and negate what was known as the highest intelligence known to man. They became a people who couldn't read and write. But please understand, slavery wasn't about color, it was about money. The wealthy dominated over the poor. There were white slaves, but the popularity of the African slave grew because they were traded for cheap and worked harder than the white slaves. Lately, amongst the black community, I've seen an uproar because it is told that Christianity was forced upon slaves on their arrival to America. Now that is true, but contrary to popular belief, Christianity was present in Africa before colonialism and slavery. What was known as Christianity then, we now know as Catholicism, Protestantism, and Eastern Orthodoxy. When slaves were traded to come over to America, Christian slaves weren't allowed to be traded. And that group did include select African and the majority, if not all, the poor white slaves. Many countries now utilize African architecture, science, and symbolism that was either learned or stolen. They used to experiment on us like animals. They branded us like cows. We were used to be mocked. We were used as their entertainment. In 1712, William Lynch wrote a letter to slave owners, instructing them, divide the blacks by skin tone, and you will control them for 300 more years. I hear all the time that slavery is over. I'm sorry, but slavery is not over. It's just evolved. Some people have fallen slave to negative thought. There is sex trafficking, human trafficking. There are wealthy business owners somewhere talking down on an employee just like a slave, no matter their color. Defenders of slavery used to say that it was economically necessary. Business owners take advantage of illegal immigrants on the regular. Less pay means more money for them. Americans love to wear fine jewelry, clothes, and shoes, but you rarely see someone stop and question where these materials come from. Whether unemployment is on the rise or decline, unemployment continues to be a topic. And yet we have businesses outsourcing to other countries. There is a difference between opening a business in another country to serve those people and opening factories in other countries to serve us. If we complain and bicker about our own minimum wage, I can only imagine what factory workers in other countries get paid. Let us not forget we were the entertainment and subject of mockery. People stand in line for brands every day like a herd of cows. There's a reason why music artists started creating their own record labels and why companies like Tidal were created. They realized they were only making pennies on the dollar. Even people we refer to as wealthy can be slaves. Harriet Tubman once said she freed 1,000 slaves, but she could have freed 1,000 more if they knew they were slaves. Let us take notice of a dinner scene in a movie made in 1974. One gentleman said, "Without hope, people become dangerous." Another gentleman said, "No, you liberals have let them invade your society, or our society. You give them jobs, political jobs." The first gentleman, "You missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up." The other gentleman says, "That makes it even worse." The first gentleman says, "No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up in white society, we neutralize him. He feels compelled to try to act like us. He loses his identity and his racial anger. He becomes an alien to his brothers. They realize he sold them out and they grow to hate him. He becomes worthless to them and safe for us."